Hey sister, I figured this might be a little easier to show you than sending you stuff, so I'm just going to show you like I would show a client. I have lacrosse ball, golf ball, and softball. So we'll start with golf ball. So the areas that we're going to look at, this is my foot right here. The areas we're going to look at are going to be right behind this big old bump here, right in the arch of the foot. So you're looking for somewhere around here. You'll know when you hit it. It's going to be tender, but it shouldn't be like any kind of burning, stinging kind of pain. I can't get my face in the camera, so you'll just see my beautiful beard. So right here is going to be one spot I'm going to talk about. Right here in front of the heel on that same tendon is going to be the second spot that I'll talk about. And then I'll go over the spots on the calves after. So for trigger point rolling with the golf ball, all you're looking to do is find those two spots. So the first one, again, right here behind that big toe. You're going to find a spot and then just apply a little bit of pressure. It shouldn't be painful. It'll just be a little bit uncomfortable. If it's painful, burning, stinging, you're putting too much pressure for right now. Eventually we can get into that, but right now you just need light pressure. So you're just going to apply a little bit of pressure here and then hold it without moving. So not moving is a very, very important part. If you're moving around, you're going to keep hitting different receptors in the muscle, which is going to stimulate the nervous system to keep that contracted to protect it. So we find a spot, hold for up to 5 minutes. Anywhere from 3 to 5 minutes it'll take to relax. So make sure you get in a position that's somewhat comfortable and you can hold it for a while. So that there, same thing with this spot right in front of the heel. You're still on the same tendon. It should feel very similar. It's a little harder to get centered, so you'll have to kind of move the foot around until you find it, and then hold that spot. Same thing, 3 to 5 minutes there. All right, so that's the myofascial release techniques for the foot, and then we're going to go to the calf. Now make sure when you do all this, do all of the rolling first. Don't do any kind of stretching before, because the stretching before while the nervous system has everything contracted is just going to cause it to lock up even more. So we'll pull the softball or something similar, and the spots we're looking for on the calf are going to be, let me get in a good position here. So on the calf, we're looking for right here where the Achilles starts to meet muscle. So we shouldn't be directly on the tendon. We want to kind of get into soft tissue. That one's going to be straight up the middle from the Achilles. And then two other spots we're going to hit. One is going to be on the head of this muscle. That is, when you hit that spot, it'll feel like a calf cramp basically. That's the spot we're looking for. And then the last one is going to be on the outside of the calf on the head of this muscle. So you have your soleus up the middle. We're going to roll the bottom end of that. And then you have lateral and medial gastroc up either side. And we're going to hit the head of each one of those. So for those, same idea. You're going to find this spot on the Achilles. When you find it and get it centered, you're going to let it sit. Now this one is a very, very, very tough muscle and tendon. So a lot of times what you'll have to do is take the other leg over the top and then let it sit there so you have some extra pressure in there. Extremely important when you're on this muscle, you cannot do anything with this foot. So any of this kind of stuff, leaving it tensed up is going to screw everything up. So completely relaxed with the foot, let it just drop all the way out and then get in there and then let it hang out until it releases. Same thing, 3 to 5 minutes there. Then you're going to move up to that second spot that I talked about on the inside. That's the one that's going to feel like a calf cramp. When you hit the spot, it'll almost feel like it's going to cramp. Find that exact spot and then let it sit there 3 to 5 minutes there. And then very last on the outside, this one is probably going to be a little more painful. So you may have to spend a little more time on that with less pressure so you don't tear anything down. You just want to get it to release. So all the same type of rolling, hold 3 to 5 minutes until it releases. You'll know when it releases because you're going to feel the ball sink into the muscle. The area around it will soften up. And sometimes, especially around this area, what you'll have to do is get a spot to release and then move an inch or so, and you'll find another spot, and keep doing that until they're all released. Take your time on that. You don't want to rush it and rip through anything. It needs to be very, very light pressure type rolling. You don't want to go and irritate anything. Lacrosse ball can be used if the golf ball is too painful. This is just going to be a bigger surface area, so it can be used for those first two spots that we talked about. So that's your rolling. Stretching, I would recommend only doing dynamic stretching right now. So basically what that means is we're not pulling on anything and holding it for a period of time. It's all going to be constant movement, and you're basically just going to move the joints through the range of motion. You're going to move the tendons through the range of motion to kind of get everything warmed up before we use any of it. So for the foot, this stretch, I will send you another video in like a month with a lot more advanced version of this stretch, but from what it sounds like, there's not a lot of movement, so you're not going to be able to do the more extreme ones. So the simple way of doing this is basically just hold the foot so it's not touching the ground with your opposite hand, and then use the same side hand over all of the toes at once, and you're basically just going to pull them back. It doesn't need to be extreme. You just want it to be more than you're able to naturally flex the toes up right now. So if you're only able to move to here, then you're going to pull maybe a half an inch, maybe even a quarter inch past that, hold it for just a second, and then you're going to bend in the opposite direction. So you're just going to curl the toes around about to right here. Now this way doesn't need to be real extreme ever, because we don't really need to stretch the top of the foot just yet. We're looking more to stretch this part, but we do want to hit both ranges of motion. So you're going to go here to here, nice and easy, not a lot of pressure, just moving that area through. Right now we're going to stay with one set of 20 times. So basically you're going to count 1, 2, 20 of those. All right, so that's your stretch for the foot itself. And then for the calf, I have a dynamic stretch as well. For that one, I'm going to have to get a little further away from the camera, but you're going to find some type of wall or something to push against. And again, just like the rest of them, this is a very, very light pressure stretch, so you're not like trying to rip the leg off. Just get some tension, and then we want some flexion on this one. So what it's going to look like is you'll find a wall to push against. Your back leg, so this one here is what we're actually stretching. You're going to flex into the ground for 5 seconds, and then push the heel down and stretch for 10 seconds. 5 seconds, 10 seconds. Now neither one of those ranges of motions are going to be very extreme. You're not trying to flex the calf as hard as you can. We just want contraction, and you're not trying to pull on it when you push the heel down as much as we can. We just want to get some stretch, again, just to warm the tendons up. We're not really trying to actually lengthen anything just yet, more just get them limber enough to actually use them. All right, so that's your stretch for the calves. Now after you've done all of that, then we're going to go into some actual activation. So I'm going to kind of show you the muscles that we're dealing with. So the main one is going to be called your posterior tibialis, and what it does is it is this tendon that's underneath the foot. So from the big toe, it wraps behind the ankle here, and then it is the muscle that lines the back end of the shin bone, so the tibia. That muscle is responsible for holding your arch up because it controls the big toe. It pushes the big toe into the ground, holds the arch up into a neutral position. If that muscle doesn't work, then our arch collapses. So what that looks like standing up is the toe presses into the ground. That's going to create this arch. If the toe can't press into the ground because that muscle doesn't work, it relaxes and we cave in. So we have that kind of flat foot position. And you'll see from a front view, that's going to cause knee to dive in, internal rotation, and also that ankle to dive in. So that's where we start running into issues with these toes over here. All right, so our balance work is really, really simple. All you're going to do is plant that foot on the ground. You're going to press your toe into the ground, try and create as much of an arch here as possible. So you're going to imagine there's a tack underneath the arch of your foot. Try and peel that off the ground and hold it. And then we're going to take our other foot. You're going to reach forward about a foot, tap the ground with that foot, and then come back to neutral. Now you're going to notice this foot never actually touches the ground when I'm here, and I'm just tapping the toes here, so I'm not transferring weight onto this foot. We're just tapping. This leg's not going to move. This leg's going to stay here the whole time. So you're going to tap, back to neutral 1, tap, back to neutral 2, and we're going to do 2 sets of 20 reps. But I want you to actually do that on both feet so that we keep everything balanced and even. Now while you're doing these, you're going to notice that because this foot is digging into the ground, toes are digging into the ground, you're going to fire this muscle. Again, that one wraps all the way up. That's also going to cause this muscle on the outside to flex. And those 2 muscles are what stabilize the ankle joint itself and then the foot. And so what's going to happen is you're going to be burning through the arch of your foot, possibly on the outside of the foot, and then all the way up either side of the leg. Eventually it's going to start running up the side of the upper leg and into the glute and all that as well. All of that's involved in balancing. So the idea is to intentionally get this toe Sorry, somebody tried to call me. I lost my video for a minute. Hopefully I didn't lose anything. So idea is to get this big toe to dig into the ground to hold the arch up and actually intentionally get all of this stuff burning. So it's going to be on fire the whole time you're doing those. That's actually what we want, is those muscles to be on fire, because that's the ones that need to get stronger. In the meantime, this will go against what most doctors will tell you, but for the inflammation, I would only use ice if you absolutely have to get the inflammation down, because you need to be able to get on your feet and do something and you're not able to. If you can get away with leaving the swelling there, leave it there, because that's the body's way of actually healing. It's bringing blood to the area, which is going to pump all kinds of stuff to that area that it needs to properly repair. But again, if you need to go to work and you need to be able to stand up and you can't physically do that because of the swelling, that's a situation where you kind of have to get the swelling down. But on rest days, if you don't have to work and you can just kind of keep your foot up and just let the blood naturally flow through there and not take the swelling away, then do that. Leave it that way. Let the swelling heal everything. What I'll do after you start all this, I'd do about 2 weeks of this, and then I'll update you with some more advanced movements. Assuming it's getting better, I'll just stay in contact with you. Make sure I didn't skip anything. That's everything for now. Send me back any questions you have if none of this makes sense, but I think this will probably be the easiest way to get all the information you need to actually fix it. I'll talk to you later. Love you. Bye.